Hey everyone, I'm your host, Robbie Straczynski, and thanks so much for joining us on episode number 52 of CardsChat, the friendliest poker podcast in town. Today's guest is a multi-time Global Poker Award winner and best known in our community as the godfather of poker vlogging. He regularly shares his cash game grinder lifestyle with over 160,000 subscribers via his YouTube channel, as well as with the poker playing masses at meetup games all over the United States and even internationally. From favorable flops to jaw-dropping drone shots, this man has earned his way into our clubs, diamonds, spades, and hearts. And on today's show, we'll get to know him a little better. Andrew Neeme, welcome to the CardsChat podcast.
You have a way with words, Robbie. Has anyone ever told you that?
I just read what they put in front of me, Andrew. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Sounds lovely. Thanks for that intro.
You got it. You deserved it. You earned it. And it's good to see and speak with you again. You doing all right? All things good?
I'm doing good. Yeah, all is well on my end. Hello from Austin, Texas to you and to everybody. Getting out there in the world again and getting after it, meetup game style. On a little two-stop trip here. Was in Houston, now Austin, and yeah, things are good.
Excellent. We'll definitely be talking a lot about meetup games, a lot about Texas. And you know what, though? I do think it's important folks should realize that your journey certainly didn't start from the vlogosphere or the mugosphere. I know I've been following your journey pretty much from the beginning. One might say even from before the beginning. I know you from your Pokerati days and the short-lived Vegas Grinders podcast. That one ran for 22 episodes way back in, I think, 2013. What can you tell our listeners and our viewers who are hearing about that old show for the first time?
You definitely do your research, don't you?
I have long memories. That's all.
So yeah, the vlog, as you mentioned, was not like the first stepping stone into content creation. Tried a few things, a few different mediums. The podcast that you mentioned was a fun one called Vegas Grinders, which a couple of buddies of mine and I started. Shout out to Dan Mahalski and David Ferrara. Those guys. Dan, you mentioned that site pokerati.com. Kind of like I'm trying to think how to describe Pokerati. It's kind of like a cult classic type of journalism-ish site in the poker industry. He's a great writer, very smart guy is Dan, and he had a bunch of other great writers working for him. And my buddy Dave is also a writer. He now works for the Review Journal in Las Vegas, but we started a podcast where we all brought different perspectives here to Las Vegas, to the podcast platform, and just talked about life in Vegas. And mine was, kind of similar to what I do now, but in audio form, like the viewpoint of a local grinder in Vegas, playing the low stakes, mainly just playing like 1-3. So talking about like the occasional hand at the Aria 1-3 and the win 1-3, 500 max buy-in, and occasionally taking a shot at the 2-5 games. And just the life, the life of the grinder was my addition to that. Nice. But yeah, went from there to Instagram and eventually over to YouTube.
Right. Well, like you said, that was the precursor in a way. You've upgraded from 1-3 to some higher stakes, and I guess you could sort of say you've also upgraded to the YouTube platform. Not just audio, also video. I couldn't believe this one when I looked. October 7th, 2016. That's almost 5 years since the first episode of the Andrew Neeme vlog. Do you care to reflect on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. If you think about like how much editing happens in that many years worth of videos. That's a big chunk right there. Big chunk of time and a lot of work that's gone into these poker vlogs. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy to think about. When you get into the rhythm of these things, both like grinding and like churning out the content, you sort of maybe lose sight of the bigger time frame because you're just in the weeds so much. So then, you step back and think about like we're at that number, approaching 5 years worth of doing this thing. It's pretty crazy for sure.
That is for sure, but a labor of love this entire time, I would imagine.
Yes, I mean, it comes with stresses, of course, like in a couple different ways. Mainly it's just the pressure to like keep the content churning out. There's no official like clock in, clock out. The YouTube machine is always on 24 hours, 7 days a week around the world. And you might get you get relief on the day that you upload the video. It's like, okay, great. This thing can just marinate and collect some views from different countries, and people can watch it at their leisure. The next day, though, they're waiting for that next video. Right. So it's pretty quickly back to the next session, or thinking about what the next video is going to capture and all that stuff. Obviously, it's been great overall. It's been really cool to add this like angle of I don't know, work to what I was doing before, which was just grinding the cards.
Right. And I know all about feeding that content beast, and you certainly do a great job of it. I do want to ask then, how do you think you've sort of changed, if at all, professionally and personally, from the guy in the pilot vlog who spent 45 minutes on his balcony, and I'll quote, doing takes for whatever this thing is, to where you are now?
Well, hopefully I'm a little bit better of a poker player. If you're not improving from like a few months ago as a poker player, I think something's not quite right. So if we're talking almost 5 years, then God help me if I'm not a better poker player than I was back then. I'm pretty sure I was, especially PLO too. Nowadays, I didn't know what the hell I was doing back then. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting process when you're uploading poker hands. You're going to get a lot of feedback, not just from poker, but on pretty much everything you're sharing when you're uploading to YouTube. So you're going to get a lot of feedback, and you kind of have to like make your way through those comments to try and figure out like who knows what they're talking about and who's more of a recreational player. So when someone says you should have raised to see where you're at, you can kind of just like, okay, just thumbs up that comment and move on.
Right here. I wrote that
one. But if someone starts talking about, well, you want to have this number of combinations in your range, you want to balance your bluffing range with your value range and all these things, they start using a little bit different terminology. There's a lot of things you can pick up from the small percentage that are out there that are really putting in strong amount of time, strong number of hours into their game. So yeah, I've definitely improved from the audience to some degree, and yeah, also just doing normal things that a poker player does, which is occasionally find the time to study and talk hands with other fellow pros. On a personal level, how have I changed? Honestly, I think if I were to have started this project younger, so let's see, I started when I was 36. I started in October of 2016. So I started when I was 36. If I had started when I was 26, I think like the shift personally would have been a little bit more drastic. I think that, I think there's some like, F list level of celebrity that comes with the poker blogging thing. And I think like that stuff might have like gone in my head a little bit more if I was younger, if I had like more ego and stuff like that to deal with. But I think in my like mid to late 30s, a lot of that stuff is kind of sorted out. So I don't know if there's been like massive shift in me personally.
That's fair. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember exactly what year I met you in person, but you're certainly the same guy, very down to earth. Haven't, like you said, haven't let those numbers get to your head or anything like that, and all the awards. And I think that's pretty awesome, pretty refreshing.
I don't know. You made me wait like 5 minutes while you were sorting out your audio issues, and I was tilted my ass off. Come on, man, you got to get it.
Allegedly.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Well, I know in that first vlog of yours, a guy said he'd buy you an ice cream if he called. You called and won the pot against the player who had a draw. did you ever get that ice cream?
These are the questions that need answering. These, you have quite the eye for detail.
Well, we got to ask you something new, Andrew.
So the hand you're referencing took place in vlog number 1 and took place at the 1-2 uncapped no limit hold'em game at the Golden Nugget. So it's a pretty unique game, that game in Vegas, because it's uncapped, and it's also pretty much the only game downtown Las Vegas.
Right.
I don't even know if Binion's has poker tables anymore. But it's the only game worth playing downtown. It's right off of the Fremont Street Experience. It's uncapped. You can still use $100 bills. Cash still plays there. Only place that I'm aware of anywhere. So it's unique for those factors, and because you just never know like what you're gonna get in that game. People, wandering in off after many beverages downtown Fremont Street, and I'd say like 80% of the time it's a pretty typical 1-2 game, but like 20% of the time it's just madness. So you get some strange statements, some strange table talk being said. No, I did not get an ice cream bought for me. I was happy to collect that pot. I'm pretty sure I won that hand.
Okay.
So I got my own ice cream money.
That's fair. Okay. Well, as of this recording, you're now 224 episodes into your vlog. Is there any perhaps key moment or episode during, all this, everything that you've created over the last 5 years, or something more notable that you can point to, you say that you've changed in your technique, in, the way you put together, in your creativity, perhaps, during that point in time, you could say, okay, well, I don't know, episode 57, that's when I started doing this or that, or something like that differently.
I'm not sure which episode it was, but like in the early handful of videos, I wasn't doing like either voiceover or like the split screen thing, like talking through my thought process in hands.
Right.
So I guess like the original concept was to just kind of like capture the visuals of it, and not like get too deep in the weeds. I guess definitely capture the poker content or the poker action. I pretty quickly like automatically wanted to do all that, and like if I get in trouble for filming at the table, then oh well,
Right.
we'll just see what happens. But at some point, like I think 1 or 2 people were saying that they would like love to hear my thought process, because I would put the action on the screen. I'd say like this guy called, this guy raised, I called, etc. But somebody mentioned they would love to hear like why I did those things. So I was like, okay, well, I got to either come up with a way to type all that out on the screen, or include me talking about it while it's happening. And the split screen of me next to the action on the screen was born, I guess. And then that was kind of like what became poker vlogging as we know it.
Right.
Somebody like narrating through what's going on the screen, so people can like follow along inside the head of the presenter.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not sure which episode that was, but probably in the single digits, I would think.
At what point did the drone come into play? Like, was that like a conscious decision? I'm going to start doing this thing now, or like, oh, well, this seems cool. Let's try it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's tough for me to like do an interview without mentioning Casey Neistat. But like, yeah, there's so much influence in my stuff from, just watching his stuff. Again, I'm not sure which episode that was. That drone, it was like the Phantom 3. I think I paid like a few $100s for it. It didn't like fly very far. And I crashed it the very first time I tried to fly it. I don't know which episode that was, but like, yeah, I just knew that I loved the shots, that I was seeing from him and like other people as well. He wasn't the only person, but just loved it. And just added like a really cool dimension, and just the angles and the way that it captures like the wider perspective. You want to kind of give people as much of an understanding of like where you are and what's going on as you can. And the drone is a great way to do the widest angle that you can get from like the city perspective.
For sure. And I think you even showed me once, we met, I saw the car, you had this camera that you bolted on, what it
Mm.
is to, and
Yeah,
like, when, as you're driving to the casino, I mean, as someone who's visited Las Vegas plenty of times, yeah, that whole cool feeling of I'm driving to the poker room now, you certainly capture it. Like, what's the methodology there of like, of that camera angle?
that's the GoPro Suction Cup. So it's
Uh-huh.
like this industrial strength suction cup that you just stick on the side of your car, and amazingly, it doesn't fall off
Right.
as you're like driving down the freeway with like a $400 camera attached to it. There's never been any disaster with that. Haven't done it in a while, but yeah, that was extremely nerve wracking sticking that thing on the side of your car driving on the freeway.
But the
But
results,
yeah,
it's incredible.
yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, I know you mentioned on your vlog a while back that you were feeling like things are getting perhaps a little bit stagnant. You want to change some things up. And since then, you have pivoted indeed to a little bit more of the online games. Obviously, during the pandemic, kind of like, well, what else are you going to go ahead and vlog, as well as PLO. It's pretty obvious. I'm just looking at the numbers. It's not exactly the same as how they had been with the original style of the blog. I know you just put one out recently, back to the classic Andrew Neeme vlog, so to speak. My question on that is, at the end of the day, you do what you want to do, but I'm wondering, is there any sort of balance? You start saying, well, maybe I need to, engage viewers a little bit more and pay attention to analytics, or maybe you just like, well, I'll do what I want to do. Is that a thought process that goes through your mind?
Pretty much every single day of my life.
Wow.
It's tough to figure out. It's tough to nail down what's best, what's the best approach. I know that like the best approach is to just do whatever you want to do.
Mm.
Because you're just going to enjoy it so much more. It's really tough though, because this formula is tried and tested for sure. And not just with me, like with other content creators who are doing this kind of a thing. Obviously Brad Owen's channel, people love to watch the hands, and then he interjects some personality in along the way as well, but it's very hand heavy. Same with a guy like Ethan, Rampage Poker.
Yeah.
Mariano, all these guys that are getting really good numbers, and they're focusing on the hands mainly, and that's what the poker playing audience wants. Once you start inserting artistic things, it becomes a lot more subjective, and there's going to be some people that love it, and there's going to be some people that just click fast forward, and as soon as they click fast forward, the YouTube algorithm is not going to enjoy that, and they're going to recommend it to a few less people, and like on and on it goes. So it's tough, because you want to, especially if you're putting in all this time on this endeavor, you want to make it worth your while. Of course, you want to be rewarded. You want to, make sure YouTube is you're satisfying that algorithm and it's reaching more people, and there's growth there, etc. But that's not to say that like doing what I want to do won't eventually get those same numbers, and like replace one audience member with another one who like really attaches onto what I'm putting out there, whether that's the PLO stuff or online poker stuff. It's just tough to go from like whatever 4 years of doing something in that format, and then seeing the numbers go way down when you try something different. It's tough to like just say, okay, well, I'm just going to get this number of views on my videos now, rather than what we were doing when we're on a really great growth path. So it's a tough, it's like an ongoing kind of tough balance to find. And I think like right now I'm just trying to do like something for me, then something for the typical audience, and kind of going back and forth. I don't know if that's ideal. I don't really know. I don't know if I definitely don't have the perfect answer and know what the perfect answer is. But there's like, for me personally, I think I get like maybe a little bit tired of doing the same thing for too long. And I think that sort of is a part of, at least a part, maybe the main reason why I started the videos in the first place, just because I was playing the Texas Hold'em for 8 years. About time to try something else.
Right. Well, variety certainly is the spice of life. I know you tried also, you got the secondary channel with the Andrew Neeme 2 TOO, right? The other one?
Yeah. So
Right.
that was like that was a reason. A lot of that stuff I just talked about was the reason why I wanted to have that second channel. So like
Right.
anytime I want to just try something unique and different, just throw it up there on the second channel and not
Uh-huh.
freak everyone out who's
Right.
expecting the same sort of thing on the main channel.
That's fair. Okay, very cool. Well, you've played a ton of cash games, obviously, and a ton of casinos. What are some of perhaps the wildest things that you've seen, but may not have been vloggable, so to speak? Or basically, is there anything interesting that's gotten left on the cutting room floor that you could share with us here on the CardsChat community?
Oh man. Uh surprisingly, I haven't really seen too many situations like come to blows. There's like so many arguments and stuff when there's all this like intense competition, hand-to-hand battle at the poker table.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I haven't like seen I think I've seen like one fight at a table that I was sitting at where it actually like security was called and had to break these guys up. And that's a lot of like time spent at the poker table and
Right.
intense situations. So kind of surprising just that one time.
Okay.
One time I saw a guy who was a dealer at Planet Hollywood, but I was playing at the Palms Poker Room. This was before I started the vlog. Uh, was having many drinks at the Palms Poker Room, and eventually got to the point where it just vomited all over the table, just like bam, like a lot. Not pretty, not a pretty sight.
Spewing chips in a
That
different
definitely
way.
sticks out in my mind. I don't know. There's all sorts of craziness that's your experience, stuff like that. It's people not at their finest moments
Right.
at the poker table in the very wee hours of the morning.
Okay, that is fair. Well, what you did kind of had a pretty fine moment. Good seg into the next question there. Just deftly, maneuver to a different topic. You did final table recently, a WSOP online event. You finished sixth for over $14,000, biggest ever online score, I believe. Congratulations. How much more have you been working on your tournament game? And obviously, things are up in the air, changing a little bit. Do you have any sort of plans for the live WSOP tournament bracelet schedule in the fall?
Sorry, I think our internet connection is failing us a little bit here. But the question was, have I been working on my tournament game?
Yeah.
Not as much as I could, which is kind of like a theme for me in my poker career. Could definitely be putting in a little bit more dedicated of hours into that. I've never used a solver in my life. So like for me, I sort of rely on others to get the gist of what solvers are coming up with. And then I kind of like look for the summary. So whether that's like through a training site or through a coach directly, I try to get the summary. So I'll be losing like, some small amount of EV that way, like not getting into the weeds myself.
Right.
But yeah, I looked to a guy like Ryan LaPlante and his training site, Learn Pro Poker,
Yeah.
Which is like a great tournament site for just kind of like, he'll give you what the solvers will say, but then he's like, you don't really need to do this when it comes to live poker. This is like a good way to exploit away from this based on like what the live poker the tournament playing live poker population is doing in general. Right. So that's kind of like my approach to studying. And yeah, Ryan is awesome. I think he is a CardsChat friend.
Yes, he is. He's a CardsChat ambassador. And
for the live WSOP, it's I haven't planned out a schedule yet. I'm definitely looking forward to getting in there though. I think last time during the WSOP, I played too many no limit cash games. I think like with the way the WSOP has like sort of built out their schedule in recent years is they keep adding lower buy-in tournaments to the schedule in order to give more people a shot to play for a bracelet.
Right.
And I think every time they do that, I think they pull some of like that recreational crowd from cash games into these events, these tournaments. And for me, it was either like a choice between like playing, like grinding the WSOP bracelet series events or cash games. And I wasn't really gonna, I didn't really want to grind like the Venetian, for example,
Right.
which is always kind of going on simultaneously. So I just chose the cash games. But yeah, I think like they're just pulling so many people into these tournaments. And I think that's like where the value is. So this year, yeah, assuming, there's so much that's still up in the air in the world at the moment, but assuming it's similar to last year, and I see the WSOP is up to the same kind of, strategies in terms of offering some lower stakes tournaments.
Right.
I expect the fields to be kind of similar to that situation as it was last time. So definitely want to fire at some bracelet events, and both No Limit and PLO. And I'll also be keeping an eye on the PLO games, the PLO cash games as well.
Nice. Well, of course, shout out to Ryan LaPlante. As you correctly surmised, he is a CardsChat ambassador, and he was a previous guest, episode number 33 here on the CardsChat podcast. Always a good chance to remind everyone to listen to all of those old episodes, 51 of them besides this one. So be sure to check them all out. You mentioned PLO, Andrew, a couple times. I know you've studied a bit recently with Dylan Weissman, PLO expert, and you've got you also have that Hand History Lounge with your buddy Benton Blakeman, right? So here and there in right. So here and there in your vlogs, you mentioned some poker sites, and I know you just said you're not studying necessarily as much as you should. Do you have any sort of regular study pattern, or is it just, oh, I'll study now? Like, is there any sort of routine you built in as far as the study?
Sorry, man. The internet is failing us. I heard something about study.
Okay, let's pause it 1 second.
Okay.
So yes, you definitely, I know you mentioned PLO. I know that you've been studying recently with PLO expert, with Dylan Weissman, and you've also got that Hand History Lounge with your buddy Benton Blakeman. Here and there in your vlogs, you mentioned some poker training sites. You already mentioned Ryan LaPlante's site. Do you have any sort of either official or unofficial study routine or habits or something that you try to stick to, even though you had that disclaimer, I don't study as much as I should?
So I mean, yeah, I think like I'm kind of, I think I'm trying to figure out how to describe myself in this when it comes to the study question, because I think I'm like a pretty good poster boy for studying a very like medium amount, maximum. And it sort of shows up. I mean, like, you look at different people in the poker world, as far as like poker players.
Yeah.
Look at like the guys who are playing like super high roller tournaments. How did they move up to these kinds of stakes? I'm all the like backers and swapping stuff conversations aside, these guys are like the best poker players in the world. And how did they get there? They put in a shitload of study. They didn't get there by like talking into a vlog camera or like going out for cocktails at like Atomic Liquors. They put in like a shitload of work, and for whatever reason about like their personality or about poker, some sort of cross in between all that stuff, they were able to find some level, I think, of enjoyment, or just like battle through the if they don't really enjoy it that much, they were somehow to find a way to battle through and find time to put in the study hours.
Right.
For me, it just kind of sucks for me. Like I've all that stuff. I've talked about poker hands with friends, like over, again, countless hours in text messages and group chats and stuff like that. Am I one to just bear down and like put in all these hours, like watching videos and nowadays like going through solvers and stuff like that? It's just not me. And like 8 years later of professional poker life in Las Vegas, I'm playing 510. I'm not playing super high roller tournaments in Macau or wherever these guys are playing. Right. So for a lot of people, the getting to the 510 stake level is like kind of a dream. That's like, man, I would love to play that. You see like how well these videos from the Bellagio 510 games do. It's like a lot of people would love to play in that game. And then for some other like professional poker players that have found a lot more success, they're like, dude, this guy's still playing 510 after 8 years of professional poker. Like, what's the deal here? And it's just, for me, it's like, it just never really spoke to me that way. And I was never able to find the drive to do that. And again, this is what leads one into making vlogs about
Right.
poker. And obviously there's more of like a creative bent to my life that I enjoy, and that's the stuff that I'm able to like put a shitload of hours into.
Right.
You know, like grinding to edit until 10 a.m. to make sure this video gets uploaded on Monday morning.
Yep.
And then getting right back after it. So for whatever reason, that speaks to me. So as far as like, do I have a study routine? Nope, I don't.
That's fair. But you said like, so, you know, definitely max mediocre study. I like that. That's a good, good way of putting it.
The good news is that like, you know, making all this stuff and putting myself out there leads to other people like reaching out to me, and I can sort of like, you know, pick and choose who I want to work with if there is, you know, somebody that's offering.
Nice.
And you know, it allowed me to reach out to Dylan for the PLO stuff. You know, if I'm just like some random dude, he's gonna be like, okay, well, coaching is probably, I actually don't even know what it is, but I assume it's like several $100s an hour or something. And again, that's going to be like, I don't know if I want to, even though it's definitely worth it because he's the man. You know, it's just going to be like various levels of turnoff for me. But me reaching out to him and him being like, oh, cool. Yeah. The videos are awesome. Maybe there's, you know, some ways that we can help each other out.
Yep.
And it's just like, it opens that conversation up to where, you know, like we're making content about PLO together rather than just like him telling me to watch the master class, whatever the hell it's called.
PLO Launchpad, I think this is thing.
Yeah, but there's the that's the intro one. There's a much more intense one on Upswing. And I am trying to work my way through it, but fuck, man, it is dry.
I hear you. Just to speak for the recreational players, don't worry. Some of us still very much aspire to that 5-10 Bellagio to the degree that someone once offered to stake me in a session, and I was like, I don't want to throw away your money for you, man. Like I'm not yet at that level. But don't worry, you know, you're doing just fine, at least as far as lots of us out there are concerned. In your Twitter bio, you currently have the following sentence: watching anyone who blends creativity and talent. So I want to ask you, Andrew, who are some of those folks in the poker world, and who are some of those folks outside the poker world?
I'm a big Jamin Burton fan.
Nice.
I think he's maximum creativity in this sort of genre, and maybe even potentially all of poker media. He might be maximum creativity. So I think he probably does it the best. Outside of poker, I mean, there's so many. There's this Instagram account that I follow, and I don't even know if you want to like pause, I can look it up or something. But anyway, it's like this animator who he adds like these animations to videos of like either like, you know, breakdancing or like sports figures. He adds these cool animations to it. And so I was actually like watching this guy's videos on Instagram and clicked through to like this figure skater who he had animated. It's like this video of her like doing all these crazy moves with like a 360 degree camera. And then he animated it. And like, she said something like, love it when creativity highlights talent or something like that. I was like, that sums it up so perfectly. I love watching that kind of a thing. And that's what it was. Brilliant. So yeah, I don't know if anyone really cares what account that is, but that was the one.
That is fair. Okay. Well, one question we always like to ask all of our guests here at the Cards Chat podcast is, who is the friendliest player you've ever sat with and competed against at a poker table?
Friendliest player. You know, it's like these the fellow vloggers do like such an amazing job. It's like a skill that you're gonna have to like sort of carve out. Is we're actually talking about this last night at dinner, but like when something like pretty bad happens at the poker table, like you get stacked for a big pot or something, and then pretty quickly after that, someone comes up and taps you on the shoulder and is like, "Hey man, I love the videos. Any chance we can get a photo together?" And it's like your immediate reaction you might think your immediate reaction is be like, oh God, just leave me alone. Let me wallow in this sadness.
Right.
But yeah, if you look at like Brad or Jamin or, you know, Johnny Vibes, you go on down the list. All these guys do a pretty fantastic job of like being able to understand that this is like pretty sick opportunity to like make videos for people that they enjoy and like travel and play poker and kind of like live that dream just based on like these silly little poker videos. So no one has let that go to their head, I don't think, that I know of.
I like that.
And they're just like always nice to people. I've never heard of any particular poker bloggers being like, wow, that guy's actually like a pretty big dick in person.
Okay.
I mean, as far as like the industry goes, just like such a massive fan of Phil Galfond. I think he's obviously like Mr. Nice Guy and probably like the most beloved person in the industry. I think second place, very close second place, is Jamie Kerstetter. She's just like obviously like such a joy to be around. I've never played with Phil. Jamie Kerstetter I have played with up in Reno. She always likes to remind me about how she got me good with 3 deuce in Reno, which is called the skinny. And every time I see her, she reminds me that she got me with that 3 deuce. But she's just as funny as like in person as she is online, which is kind of amazing. You know, a lot of people, they need to take time to like formulate funny things to write down, you know. But she's like so witty in person. She just like comes up with all these funny things in person as well.
Yeah, well, certainly a shout out to Jamie. She was episode 3, one of the early ones on almost a year ago, guys. So yeah, definitely a lot of gold there, and certainly those who listen to that one will confirm that what Andrew said just now is correct. Andrew, I promised you we'll talk about mugs, so here we go. I know when you first started them out with Brad, it was a bit tough to get rooms on board with this idea. Like, you know, when you're starting anything new, it's the destructive type of a thing. It's not a given that everyone's going to go ahead and go for it. Obviously, nowadays, you've proven the value that vloggers can bring to poker rooms. Perhaps can you take us, you know, briefly or vaguely in some way, however you feel comfortable, the process of what it's like getting a new property on board to, like, you know, let's go ahead and have this mugs event there.
Yeah, I guess like for us, from doing this from the beginning, it was always going to be like a slow build up from like the proof of concept stage. So like the very first sort of experience with this mugs thing, you know, I think it was during the WSOP, maybe in 2017, when said to Brad, you know, we should just put a tweet out there, just try and get some people together, see how many people, you know, that are in town that watch the videos and just want to come play poker. We'll capture it and we'll put it on YouTube. And it sort of like pretty quickly becomes this sort of like thing that feeds on itself, because, you know, those people that come to the games, they just want to hang out. But when you can capture that and you can present it again on YouTube, then there's gonna be more people that see that and be like, that looks really fun. I want to come hang out and like have some beers and have a social poker night and maybe get into the video, maybe bluff these guys, or maybe win a big pot off these guys, or whatever happens, you know, play some bomb pots with these guys. Just like it's a little bit different of a poker experience than what everyone is kind of accustomed to, which is sometimes fun, but often like a little bit serious on the serious side, quiet side in the poker rooms. So once you've, you know, done that, once you've accomplished getting a bunch of people together and showing it off, maybe do a couple more of those where it's, you know, you're just kind of, you ask the poker room, hey, is it cool? Can we have like, you know, we're going to bring a bunch of people together. Can you sort out like 2 tables for us, 3 tables for us if we show up all at the same time? Usually they're accommodating. They'll be like, yeah, sure. If they have dealers, you know, if they have the dealers, they're happy to get people in the poker room. So if you've done that, then maybe you can like slap a brand name on this thing, package it, and be like, okay, well, this is what we want to do. We want to bring people to the poker room, which is, you know, you want to lead with that, of course.
Right.
What poker room's gonna be like? No. And this is, we also want to show off the poker. We want to show off the casino. We want to show off what you guys offer here. We're fans of this property. We already play here. We want to be able to capture this stuff. Everyone that comes to the game is going to be cool with it. So it's not like a matter of, us like secretly filming these people or anything. It's
right.
People are they're definitely on board as far as like the table itself goes. And you just gotta find a casino who will say, okay, that sounds weird, but all right, sure, whatever. And so we started with like, I guess like the first one outside of Vegas was Wild Horse Pass, and I'm pretty sure they didn't get it at first what we were talking about, but we somehow were able to put that together. And then from there we went up like to this little card room up in Seattle that no longer exists anymore. But we weren't able to save that one, unfortunately. That was a casualty of the mugs history. But anyway, it was like an independent card room. So then we have like a couple of events it's been proven, and we can have a video to show to another room that we're reaching out to, and on and on and on. So it's just a slow build from like nothingness and obviously like not getting any of the travel paid for or anything like that. Just kind of like being like, okay, well, this is what we're talking about, and then this is what we're talking about to the next place, and this is what we're talking about to the next place, and just trying to climb the ladder into like places that are public, multinational corporations that usually have a ton of red tape and bureaucracy, and eventually having someone along the line say yes and just keep going from there.
Right, and obviously those waiting lists of dozens and dozens and dozens of players long certainly doesn't hurt the argument. So I'm sure that's a great feeling when you see that sort of thing happen. One of the other things I told you we would talk about Texas. It kind of seems like the new it spot, both for meetup games and just live poker in general. You're there right now in Austin. I know you visited a couple times before, and through your vlogs, you've given us who haven't been able to visit a window into the scene. Can you kind of sort of is there a way to quantify if it's different or unique in some way to other poker locales from Las Vegas, from other rooms across the United States that you've been to?
It's probably a combination of things. It's kind of like an undeveloped market, like undeveloped gambling market. There's I think there's Indian reservation casinos. One of our Uber drivers was telling us about they have a boat that goes out of Galveston, Texas, and into international waters that has gambling, but it's not like other states that have tons of casinos everywhere, which leads to professionals living there. It's kind of it's kind of just like home games for a lot of the time, or you had to drive very far to a neighboring state to find a game. So only over the past handful of years has there been these card rooms, which is closer to that sort of official gambling room that like a casino might be. It's not obviously the same, but that's like a pretty new thing. And then these are like pretty major metropolitan areas, like Dallas, Houston. These are major cities. Austin, population very solid numbers. So when you have like a lot of people with disposable income and a sort of fresher gambling market, there's going to be a lot of excitement for the game, and that definitely shows up in the meetup games. It shows up in the games themselves, and that's kind of it. That's kind of the formula for a lot of people getting together and playing poker.
I like it. I'm sure I'm not the only one hearing that answer who wants to just go to Expedia and book a flight to Dallas right now or something like that. So certainly seems like a pretty awesome scene to be a part of or to visit. We're recording this show on August 10th, but it is only going to be released on August 25th. In the interim, you'll have hosted your first ever mug at Resorts World, which is the newest poker room in Las Vegas. So obviously, as of recording, you can't tell us how was the mug, but perhaps you can tell us, have you played yet at Resorts World? What's the management like? What's what's the room like? What can folks expect when they're playing there?
Yeah, I played there a couple times so far. Uh, First of all of Resorts World, like the building, the casino, gorgeous, gorgeous place. Something like 40 restaurants or so that are available in this place to
Wow.
explore. Obviously, tons of bars as well. There's 3 different hotel brands in there. I mean, they didn't hire me to be a spokesperson here, but this is just me like talking about, like, it's always been fun for me to like explore a new place. And I think that sort of enthusiasm shows up in my videos. I just like going and like exploring things and reporting back. So it's been fun to just like kind of wander around, and it's going to take me a while to have a beverage at all those bars that are available there, but it's nice. And then the poker room, yeah, it's like it's nice and fresh and new. That having brand new chips when you're at the poker table is pretty sweet. So they hired, like, I think the staff. I asked the poker room director, his name is Gary, where the staff came from, and I think he said something like 80% probably around Vegas and 20% elsewhere. So there's a lot of, like, familiar professional faces in that room. They took some people from the Win, which has always been, I think, top tier poker room. So a bunch of staff has come over from there. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of great people that are running the room, and it's a fresh new room. It's just going to take them, it's going to take time for them to sort of like build out a base of people that make that their spot to play. I think poker players are such like creatures of habit. They'll go to the spots that they like to play, and just kind of like make that their spot. If there's action somewhere else, then yeah, they'll definitely go there, but it's tough to, like, it's kind of like a chicken and egg kind of thing situation. But yeah, it's just going to take them some time. I think even Aria went through the same thing, and look where they are now. But when they launched, it wasn't, they might have had a lot of people there on opening night, but after that, it took time for them to build out their base. But yeah, hopefully they succeed, and it's been fun going over there first couple times. And yeah, hopefully when this is airing, the meetup game will have gone swimmingly, and would love to do some more things over there, because it's such a gorgeous property, as mentioned.
I'm sure it will. Look, all this talk about mugs. I have to ask, Andrew, what's the most money you've ever paid for a cup of tea?
Not much of a tea drinker. I've only recently gotten into the coffee thing over the past like couple years or so. So that's like, yeah, like I made it through almost up to my 40s without really hardly drinking any coffee whatsoever. Most I've paid, I don't know, $10.
That is incorrect. I'm referencing a specific incident from April when we met, when I had a cup of tea.
Okay.
I thought maybe you'd catch that.
I didn't have the cup of tea. That was your cup of tea.
But I didn't pay for it.
That's your fancy ass cup. Nothing but the best for you, Robbie. I don't know. It was like $20 or something.
It was $16 for a cup of tea, folks. Just remember, when you're playing poker or any of the games in any casino, they will bring it to you for free. So I will just point that out as you talk.
The experience, though, they brought you like a silver platter. They brought you the teacup thing, the tea, whatever it is, spout.
It was very special. Yeah. And special to get treated to that cup of tea. So I appreciate that then and now. So let's get a bit more personal than just meetings between you and me. A few months ago, you tied the knots with your longtime fiance, Boozy. So first of all, congratulations, man. I'm truly very, very happy for you. It's good stuff.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it a lot.
Boozy also does a lot of stuff behind the scenes of the Andrew Neeme empire. She does like the apparel and logo design, I think. And plus, you guys collaborate on the Tells podcast, which has also, I was surprised also, it's been going this long as well, also 4 years. What's it like working together with her on these passion projects? And has anything changed in any way since you exchanged nuptials about 3 months ago?
To answer that last question real quick, no, I don't think anything has changed. We've been together been together for so long.
Yeah.
This engagement thing went on much longer than anticipated. So no, I don't think it feels too different. It is great to close that chapter. It was like we went out and did a fun photo shoot to capture some things that we like to do in our daily lives around Las Vegas. So we were really happy with the way that came out. But no, I don't think anything's changed or expect anything to change, just with a different title. So yeah, she's been so awesome, like with so many different standpoints. She's like, yeah, obviously like super talented to come up with these designs for favorable apparel, and she's like adamant that the stuff that we sell to people, it needs to be something that like is good quality. It's like it needs to stand on its own and not just be like, I just bought this to, throw the channel a bone or whatever. It's like it needs to be proper quality stuff, that people are actually going to be like, okay, this is solid t-shirts, one of my favorite t-shirts, or the hoodie that we put together. I should say she put together.
Right.
She like, gets all these different samples from different places and be like, nope, that's not going to work. Nope, that's not going to work. Okay, this is a good one. The first hoodie was like it was this custom designed hoodie from this supplier in California that you can't get this hoodie anymore. It was like custom done. Like
truly limited edition, right?
Picked out the zipper. It's just like all these things that went into it, and then gets it embroidered. Went to a couple different places to test out their embroidering and found one that does a really good job. So anyway, it's just like super detail oriented, super talented with the design stuff, and then also like just being there for conversations to work out all this stuff that's going on with the YouTube channel. We talked about this earlier on in the discussion, but it's just like, there's no real blueprint for this sort of a thing. It's not like you can just follow instructions on how to run a YouTube channel. You sort of have to talk through a lot of things hopefully with other people, and she's obviously been someone who's like kept me sane through some of the stressful parts of all of it, and bounce ideas. I would like come to her and be like, so I'm writing this email to a casino, what do you think? And she'd be like, I would get rid of that paragraph, or I wouldn't say this, I would change this sentence to this, and all that kind of stuff. She's been like just there.
I'm laughing because like that exact same thing happens when I write my emails. I call my wife Miriam over, is like, what do you think? And she's also my best editor, so I know that feeling quite well. Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, I don't know, I mean, she just like knew how to phrase things better than I did. I think now I can maybe send an email without getting her approval, but at least regarding meetup games, I hope that I have that one kind of down. But yeah, just like sounding professional, not going like too in depth on details that don't need to be there, just all sorts of things like that. And it's just like so awesome, that she was there and is there.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, I just got one last question of my own before we get into the community questions. There's a lot of those for you, so we'll try to zip through as many as we can. But first, my final question for you. In the intro, I referred to you as the godfather of poker vlogging. There are two other quote unquote godfathers that I know of in poker. Doyle Brunson, he'll always be the godfather. And then there's also Jason Somerville, who's often been referred to as the godfather of Twitch. It kind of seems like he's moved on, though, to other pursuits. Now, personally, I'd love to see your vlog continue until the dealing's done, as they say. But what about you, Andrew? What do you think?
What about me in terms of how long am I going to keep this train rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. It's tough to
find a creative wording for it.
How long am I going to carry on this charade of nonsense? Anyway, I'm not sure. It's like it's tough to say. I of course have this isn't my only interest, but it's like, again, it's such an amazing it's such an amazing opportunity. It's such a fun opportunity, again, like coming at you from Austin, which is like such a fun city. We were cruising around on scooters last night, checking out a few different bars, live music. And then like in a couple of days, we get to just get together with people and play poker and make videos out of it. And like, it's just amazing. Like it is pretty much the poker dream,
Yeah.
you know?
Sounds amazing.
Yeah. So just embracing it. Again, there's no blueprint to this sort of a thing, as far as like, I need to, I don't have any specific numbers for anything that I need to achieve. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have the great answer for like what's next. I still would like to, you mentioned Jason Somerville. I would like to explore what he is very much involved with these days, which is sports betting.
Yep.
I think I have like a couple of ideas for fun content that could be made from that, where I think it's a pretty natural bridge from poker to that I think people would dig. But who knows? And you don't know until you try these things. I just don't really have the edge at the moment when it comes to sports betting, and I'm not just gonna like, DJ and gamble out there and put it all over YouTube. So that's a possibility. And then there's been lots of discussions about other things. Brad and I talked about opening up a bar, and then using a lot of the lessons that we've learned through this social media and video content creation thing, applying it to that. Maybe talk about like, you could definitely talk about like the service of creating content for other businesses, whether that's like a social media agency, marketing agency, something like that. There's no decision at the moment. So for now, the train rolls on.
I like it. That's a pretty darn good answer. I think it's a pretty cool answer. And I do remember, I don't remember exactly which number it was, but there was one vlog episode where you did kind of try that experiment. I think it was, it's called I Made My First Sports Bet or something. It was like a purple $500 chip was the thumbnail there.
Yeah, I bet on the UFC, Jorge Masvidal versus Nate Diaz. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Again, once you do something a little bit differently, the numbers are going to be lower. I think that video has only got 60,000 instead of the 100K.
I was one of them though, so I can.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for doing your part.
I notched it over the 59,999 mark, so we got to be thankful. All right. In this segment of the show, we turn to you guys, our CardsChat community, to see what questions you wanted to ask our guests. We do have a dedicated thread on the CardsChat forums for this, so as we announce who our future guests will be, please be sure to send in your questions. Now, before I get into the first question, I think anyone who's listened and watched and made it this far obviously understands that Andrew and I have known each other for a good few years, and I'll try to ask some good creative questions I haven't asked him before over these years. I think it's also really nice. A lot of folks in the CardsChat community aren't as familiar with you, so I may know a couple of these answers, but I think it's still important to ask these questions. The first one comes from Shells. Andrew, why'd you start vlogging?
Why did I start blogging? Combination of boredom and I would say something missing from the poker media, what they were doing. So maybe not just boredom, but like, just kind of, we talked about this earlier, but like, doing the same thing for 8 years, playing the 2-card game, going around to a small handful of casinos in Vegas, occasionally a little bit of travel, but mainly just Vegas. Just kind of burnt out. There was a good maybe like, I don't know, a couple of years where I was like, I don't know if this is the thing for me. I don't know what should I do? Should I try something else? I don't know. Then you go on a little bit of a win streak. Okay, I guess this is the thing for me. Then you hit a downswing, and this is not the thing for me. So a lot of those questions over and over again. And then seeing, like, as mentioned, Casey Neistat, loving his stuff, seeing a couple other content creators on YouTube, and a lot of poker media kind of focusing on high stakes poker, the WSOP main event, things that are like extremely high buy-in, where like 0.1% of maybe not even that many poker fans are going to be able to play these games. Here's like an idea to capture stuff where games are actually approachable and playable by a lot more people.
Cool. Very good. Next question from Shells. Where do you see the future of online and live poker?
The future is actually like finally a little bit brighter here in the United States for online poker. Many years of like absolute nothingness. Now we have Michigan and Pennsylvania online. WSOP just launched in Pennsylvania. WSOP will launch in Michigan, I assume, hopefully sometime this year, pretty soon. And then next step will be to merge those player pools with Nevada and New Jersey. So then we'll finally have like a pretty sizable poker network. Once those pools are merged, that's something that's like enticing to more people. And then once you get more people in there, you get more attention from other states being like, hey, they raised this much revenue through online gaming and poker. Maybe we should probably launch this thing. And on and on it goes.
The snowball is rolling. Yeah.
Yeah. Live poker games will be good indefinitely.
Ooh.
we have, again, sort of like a super bizarre situation happening in the world right now, but eventually we'll get through that. And the games, at least, low and mid stakes games, always going to be good. High stakes games, I don't know. I have no idea. It's like now there's like a lot of private games that have kind of taken the place of some more, kind of open public games. And I don't know if I don't know if the ladder is there to like the same heights that it was before in live poker. But people are never going to stop gambling. So there will be a poker game to be found one way or another.
Nice. I like it. Last question of Shells, and thank you very much, Shells, for submitting these. Andrew, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
I guess like the earliest thing I remember is just, probably in like middle school and high school. I wanted to be like in a band. So I played the drums and started the drums in the they offered what musical instrument you want to try in 5th grade. I saw my cousins, they had a drum set. I'll do that looks cool. And then stuck with that all the way through high school. I was in like band and orchestra and had a band with some friends of mine. We sucked, but it was fun. So that's like kind of the earliest thing that I remember is like, in my childhood, I want to be a rock and roll star.
Awesome. I like it. Becky Eubanks, this is a name I haven't seen before. Thank you so much for submitting this question. This is her phraseology. I'm reading it to you. Since poker must be like work for you, what do you do for fun?
Yeah, I was actually, somebody asked me this recently as well. What I like? I just like having drinks with friends. I like going to a bar and having some drinks with friends. My body likes that less the next day. But yeah, I like that. I like going on hikes. Boosie and I would go on the occasional hike. I'm sure she wishes we went on more. But enjoy that. What else? I like taking photos and stuff and just editing them on my phone and occasionally posting them. Not so much these days, but keep saying I need to get another like fancy new camera and just get out there, go walk around and take photos.
Nice. That'll be the next splurge, I guess. Cool. Antonis32123. Haven't seen that name in a while. Welcome back. Thanks for asking some questions and submitting these for Andrew. Can you tell us about your website, andrewneeme.com? What is this about? Is it about the general things that interest you, like poker and places to play and your adventures? Or is it more than that? What is the main purpose of your site?
Again, it's kind of similar to like how I have the Andrew Neeme 2 channel. I guess originally I was before I had the blog, another one of my medium experiments was blogging. So I was writing a blog for a little while. And would just post it. I think I started with Pokerati. I started with Dan Mahalski's site. I was writing some blogs for him and his site. Eventually, I think I did them on my site. But it didn't go on for very long. But now it's like just kind of a catch-all kind of a thing at the moment. There's no like main reason to have it. I'll get like there's a couple of FAQs. There's 2 FAQs that I get from people. What's the best poker room in Vegas? And where should I go to, or like, what's your favorite bar? Like I'm coming in Vegas, give me a couple of recommendations on where I should go. And then I guess the third one is like, do you recommend any books? Like, what's a good poker book?
Oh, okay.
So, yeah,
poker books. Okay.
No, people aren't coming to me for like, novels. So I wrote out a blog post. Boosie actually put together our Las Vegas locals guide, and I made a couple additions to that. So we wrote out like all of our favorite restaurants, favorite bars in like all the different neighborhoods in Vegas, put that on the website. Seems like, where else am I going to put that?
Right.
Wrote out the training sites that I frequent, put that on a blog post, put it on my website. And then whatever the last FAQ was that I mentioned, I can't remember now. But anyway, yeah, it's just kind of like a spot to just have things that need posting somewhere.
I like it. Okay. Last question from Antonis32123. Also wishes you a congratulations on your marriage to Boosie and asks,
Cheers.
Yeah, it asks, did your wife know how to play poker when you first met her? Or if not, has she expressed any desire over the last few years to learn poker?
She definitely did not know when we met, but she was always into trading the markets. At the time, she was very much into foreign exchange, currency trading, and there's so many parallels between those two things. That was a big reason why we kind of hit it off in conversation number one. So yeah, she got the poker thing, or at least like, the getting after it poker thing, and so many like, the swings that go along with that, all that stuff. I didn't have to explain that. Yeah, you have losing days, because she's very well aware of that in her pursuits. As far as poker goes, later on, she started a little bit of study actually under Benton, doing getting into like opening ranges from all the different positions and stuff.
Wow.
It's tough though, because when you're doing what she's doing, how much more space in your brain can you find for something that is like, there's so many similarities, right? I mean, there's just so much going on in trading where it's going to take up a lot of your mental space. It's not even like just the times when you're engaged with it, but thinking about the markets and like thinking about your trading away from the screen. It's tough to do all that stuff, I think. So it didn't go too far, really. But she did try. She checked it out for a little while.
So maybe she'll mix it up with you in a mug locally.
It's not Benton's fault. He's a very good teacher.
Got to get that disclaimer in. Okay.
Yeah.
Finally, we have Crystals. Thank you very much for submitting these questions, Crystals. We appreciate it. Andrew, where has been your favorite spot to host a meetup game and why?
Yeah, this is actually like kind of another FAQ. But yeah, I mean, there's been so many spots where it's like good. It's like, it's been really cool for different reasons. Like one that comes to mind is Montreal. We got to go up there around a party poker event. But yeah, that was my first. Right? Yeah, that was my first time in Montreal. So got to explore that city, which is like a really cool, unique spot. Going to London, it's one of my favorite cities in the world, and we got to do this massive 4-day event there. We had like a just crazy turnout there. But also getting to spend time in London. So yeah, I mean, like anytime it's in a spot where I also like really enjoy the city. I think that's the theme of the favorite ones that stand out. Having LA be, pretty close to Vegas and being able to do recurring events there. Going back there on September 11th to 12th, we're going to Hustler Casino, plug that in here, and going to be doing something with them every other month. LA is also, I'm a pretty big fan of Los Angeles as well. So that's great. Yeah, I mean, everywhere is just kind of like, there's nowhere that really sticks out that has been like, yeah, that sucks. That place sucks. We're not going. Even like, we go to the place that's like kind of in the middle of nowhere, like Midland, Texas stands out as that kind of like middle of nowhere type of place. It was cool to go there and go see it. We found a great beer garden.
Okay, that's all you. What else do you need?
Yeah, like when else are we going to be in Midland, Texas? So right. I'm really glad that we did that. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm a pretty natural optimist in finding things to not complain about.
I like that. I'm a man after my own heart. I like that. Next question from Crystals. How long did it take you to go from micro stakes to playing 10-20? And what advice would you give someone who wants to play at high stakes?
Yeah, so this sounds like it's referencing the original online poker grind that I did when I started playing poker. Like the first year in Los Angeles, where I started taking it pretty seriously. managed to move up from like 2 cent, 4 cent up to 10, 20. It's not the same time. This was like back in 2007 or so. Obviously on online poker, this was a different time. How long did that take me? That took me about a year, I think.
Different time.
Yeah,
You can't do that
for sure.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I used like a 20 buy-in bankroll rule for moving up in the stakes. Anytime I had 20 buy-ins for the next stake up, I would move up. Yeah. If you lose like 5 buy-ins, move back down and grind back those 5 buy-ins.
Okay. Living on the edge.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you go back and like listen. I recently listened to like this random Tom Dwan interview that he did with Bart Hansen from like 2006 or so. And just like the way he was talking about like how people don't take enough shots for like 50% of their bankroll. He's like looking down on these, not looking down on these people, but saying like, you guys got to get in these games. They're like really good games and you need to take a shot in this 100. There's this 50-100 game and you're down there playing 5-10. You need to get up there and shoot half your bankroll into this game. And if it doesn't go well, go back to 5-10, grind it back.
Well, that's why he's Tom Dwan, but I don't think he'd be saying the same thing this year.
It's the combination. Yeah. I mean, him being, him embracing the risk allowed him to move up quickly.
Sure.
Also very talented human being when it comes to poker. And again, it was a different time back then, like grinding it back in stakes that are 1/10 the size. It sounds miserable now, but back then it must have been a lot easier. Yeah. So anyway, what advice would I give to someone playing higher stakes? Is that the question?
Who wants to play at high stakes?
Well, I mean, I'm not like, Mr. High Stakes myself, but if you're playing like 5-10 or like a bigger game, slightly bigger, you just have to play your game. It's not like people are doing something in particular in these games. I think that's like a pretty easy, logical fallacy that you'll find is, oh, that game, I need to figure out what those people are doing in that game. It's the same. It's the same game. There might be some players that make less mistakes in the higher stakes as you move up. That's sort of naturally what should happen. Hopefully there's going to be some recreational players though in that game. Otherwise, I'm not sure if it's worth playing anyway. So there's going to be people that are doing some weird things in there. There's going to be maybe a couple tough players in there. But you just sort of have to like work on your game and make sure that your game is plugged up. It's buttoned up. You have to be putting in a little bit of time on these training sites and sharing hands and getting feedback on the hands that you're playing and figure out what you could be doing better and where like your weaker spots are in your game. So yeah, you just have to like, get used to the new bet sizes. I think the dollar amounts are going to be different, and you're going to be spending like mental brain power on that rather than like thinking about the poker hand. So that's going to take some adjusting. But yeah, there's no like thing that's going on in the stake above you that's not really going on in your current game.
That sounds like pretty solid advice to me. I like that. 2 more questions and then we'll wrap it up. Crystals wants to know, how did you meet Brad Owen?
I reached out to him and said, hey, I see you're also making videos. Maybe we can collaborate on something in this poker YouTube world. Well, we had played together he played a lot at the Red Rock in the 2-5 game there. I played with him a small number of times there. Never really like chatted or anything before we both started making the vids. And when it's a little bit easier to collaborate on a project, like a creative project, or something that's these are digital things, but something that's a little more tangible, other than, there's people that like play poker that, share not share hands. They discuss hands, with their friends. They network that way. It's sort of like you build a circle. I have my circle of friends. So our circles didn't really like intertwine. But once we were making videos, then, there wasn't that many people making poker videos. We're like, hey, maybe we can do a couple things together and work on some things together.
Right. Okay, very cool. I like that. Good answer. And we will end off. Not good answer. That's the only answer. Of course, I knew that too. Houston Andrews.
He was
Last,
he was the former accountants, you know, so he comes from an
right,
accounting background.
right.
And I I think I've just kind of like viewed myself as like the creative and
Mm-hmm.
the, you know, came up with this poker blogging thing and sort of wanted someone who was a little bit more like analytical to partner up with. You know, if we were going
Mm-hmm.
to do like this meetup game thing,
Right.
need someone who can like understand the numbers behind all that stuff and I know bring a couple different strengths to the table for each person.
Well, and obviously it's played out and been a wonderful partnership that hopefully will continue for a very, very long time to come.
I'm gonna hold on to his coattails as long as possible, Robbie. You gotta clutch them tight.
He's got that youthful energy, which helps keep you going. The final question we have here from Crystals, again, thank you very much. Andrew, where is the one spot you want to travel to for a meetup game that you have never yet been to?
Definitely would love to get to Australia. Haven't done that. I've never been there myself, so that's two big reasons. I have been to Detroit. I'm from the area, but we haven't done a meetup game there. So
Okay.
that's high on the list to fire up that conversation. Central Europe would be cool. We were chatting with somebody at a casino in Central Europe just before all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can revisit that conversation as well. And then I would love to do somewhere in Asia. I think that'd be really cool.
Awesome. Fantastic answer. And I'm sure, hopefully, when those events happen, they will be extremely well attended. I'm sure you got fans all over the world. Folks, thank you very much for sending in your questions for Andrew Neeme. Of course, a friendly reminder to everyone out there in the CardsChat community that we'd love to see you submit your questions for our future podcast guests in the dedicated thread on the forums. Please be sure to give us a good review on iTunes and spread the word via your social media channels if you like the show. Andrew, before we let you go, anything else you'd like to tell our audience?
What a nice guy Robbie is. How lucky are we to have Robbie preparing all these detailed questions, have him here in the poker industry. Let's all be thankful that he's around.
Ah, that's sweet. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Andrew, thank you very much. Folks, thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Cards Chat. I'm Robbie Straczynski. You can follow me on Twitter at CardPlayerLife. I wish you all a wonderful day.